Thank you, Betty. I was here 30 years ago, 31 years ago, when Leonard was on trial. And essentially, the American Indian was on trial. The United States of America proudly proclaims to the world that this is a nation of laws. It is a lie. Every one of your representatives in Congress, every one of your senators, every policeman, everybody that works for the federal, state governments that has to take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America excises Article 6 from that oath. Article 6 personifies the treaties. The treaties that are supposed to be as sacred, according to Article 6, as the Constitution is of itself. This is not a nation of laws, it is a nation of outlaws. Leonard Peltier represents the extreme racism against the first Americans, the American Indian people of the United States of America, that any Indian will do if there is a crime against the state, in this case against the FBI. They'll just grab any Indian. People forget that there was a fair trial in Iowa prior to Leonard's trial where two people accused of the same crime were exonerated by a fair judge and a fair jury because they presented the fair evidence. Two people. The jury proclaimed in their verdict that the American Indian has a right to self-defense, even if it's the FBI who is attacking. That we have the right to self-defense. That's why the two people who are charged under the same indictment as Leonard were exonerated by a jury of the United States of America. But Leonard was not allowed to present the same evidence because the United States of America went around hunting for a racist judge that would not allow that evidence in, and they found him. They found him. And they found the jury that was not permitted to hear the same evidence. Even the head of the FBI who testified at the trial, Mr. Gray, at the trial of the other two who were acquitted, was not allowed to testify here. But I want to get back to the hatred of the Indian people, because North Dakota is part and parcel of that. And so is South Dakota, so is Oklahoma, so is Iowa, so is Minnesota, so is Montana, so is Nebraska, so is Arizona, so is New Mexico, Colorado, California, Nevada, Idaho, and every place there is a federal Indian reservation and a state Indian reservation. Texas, back east in Connecticut, Maine,
Florida.
Now we have this extreme racism because we're not allowed to participate, nor are we protected by the Constitution of the United States when we reside on Indian land. The Constitution of the United States does not apply to us. But what is the benefit to North Dakota and all those other states is our alleged welfare. We don't get that welfare, you get the welfare. It goes immediately into your businesses, your pockets. It doesn't stay on the reservations because we're not allowed to have economic development. We're not allowed to have financial institutions. This is not a nation of laws, because as if it was, we wouldn't be supporting your state and the other states with our welfare. And that is why if we were allowed to participate in the American way, the state government coffers and the tax base would be extremely limited. without the welfare that goes through our reservations into your pockets. So it is the states that are adequately, and the businesses of those states that receive the welfare, not us. The hatred. I mean, understand that federal appellate judges have claimed, after they have decided against Leonard, that he was robbed of a fair trial. That's hypocrisy to the nth degree. Now Leonard is going to be free next year if the United States doesn't continue to prove its hatred for the American Indian, for me and my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and Leonard's great-grandchildren. We all have them now. You all hate us. Even more than you hate the black man or the Mexican man or woman. Because Leonard personifies it. Now there's a law, a federal law, that you cannot serve more than 30 years on any sentence. He served 31, but of course he tried to escape. So they tacked on 5 years to his life sentence. So he's got 35 years. Well, next year, because he's been a model prisoner since his attempted escape, he's eligible for release according to federal law. There's already a man with the very same particulars, a Croatian man, by the way, man born in Croatia, who was released this past summer. He went to prison the same time as Leonard, and he escaped, and he killed law enforcement operators. He was proven. There was no doubt, like there was doubt with Leonard. So you see, Leonard personifies, and that's why, you know, after 31 years, he's going to get out if the United States will once again allow the law to prevail. So keep your eyes and ears tuned in to the injustice of the American Indian people, because that's what Leonard is. He represents the genocide that is ongoing in this country against my people. You know that since World War II, our life expectancy hasn't improved nationwide. Those of us that live on federal Indian reservations, like I do, our life expectancy is, on a national scale, is 49 years. That includes the women and children. 1/4 of our born, one out of every 4 Indian child born is adopted out or fostered out to a non-Indian home. That's 25% of our future. And those are the babies that survive. So you see, if you don't believe in the hatred, go on internet. Because yesterday, or the day before, excuse me, the Rapid City Journal carried a story about this demonstration in Leonard Peltier and mentioned my name. And that's, I guess, why they carried it, because I'm from South Dakota, the Pine Ridge Sioux Indian Reservation. And read the blog, the Rapid City Journal blogs, and the venom of hatred that has surfaced. Read it! And that tells you the truth about how you all feel about us. The venom of hatred of those blogs. Anytime a controversial Indian issue comes up, Those blogs prove the hatred. You're not going to believe some of them.